Hello and welcome to Hard Copy from our channel studios in Abuja. I am Kayla Magwa. Security has been top of our conversations for weeks now on Hard Copy, and understandably so. With the killing spreading to Niger, Kwara, Sokoto, Katsina, and Enugu states, decisive action has become critical. And now that the president is back in the country, security meetings were held, NEC meetings have been held, meetings with governors have been held, seeking lasting solutions to these problems. Meanwhile, at state levels, governors have swung into action, engaging with locals to find tailor-made solutions to their peculiar security problems. Some solutions have caused a stir on social media, such as the ban on dreadlocks by the Niger State governor. He's explained it, but it did cause a ripple. And this is going alongside curfews and bans on Okada and Keke Napep. The allusion by the Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia that these attackers are foreigners. Calls for citizens to arm themselves in Plateau State as night grazing is banned. The deployment of anti-bandit squads nationwide by the Inspector General of Police. Withdrawal of PMF personnel from authorized deployments. Calls to stop the politicizing of the killings in Benue by the NSA. A lot has been happening. But is it enough? In politics, the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Aborisade, and his deputy, Monde Onyema, and his predecessor, Ifeanyi Okowa, who was the running mate of the PDP presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, have all dumped the People's Democratic Party and joined the ruling All Progressives Congress. In Rivers State, pro- and anti-Fubar protests continue as the sole administrator, Iko Tekpe-Ibas, continues to govern in ways that some people find uncomfortable, unconstitutional even. With my guests tonight on Hard Copy, we talk genocides, we talk dreadlocks, arbitrary arrests, opposition parties, sole administrators, states of emergency, insecurity, and a 10 billion naira solar-powered presidential villa in the midst of an inflation that has risen to 24.23%. My guest tonight is Barrister Femi Aborisade, a legal practitioner, of course, and a human rights activist. Mr. Aborisade, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thanks very much for having me.
I mean, it's been a very busy country with everything happening at the exact same time. When it comes to security, which is the major story in Nigeria at this time, what are your thoughts about the situation in the north, stories spreading to Niger, and all of these meetings that are going on right now? This is not the first time we've had Security Council meetings. It's not the first time we've had governors talking about how they can sort things out. It's not the first time we've heard the NSA say communities need to help. You need to arm yourself. We've been hearing these things for so many years. What are your thoughts on where we are right now, and what can we be doing differently?
Well, I think that the security situation gives cause for concern. Nigeria is disturbed in terms of physical insecurity and economic insecurity on a nationwide basis. And my take is that it will appear as if the government has lost total control. The government cannot take Nigeria forward, either in terms of economic insecurity, which is at the root of physical insecurity, or in terms of physical insecurity. And if Mr. President would apply the measure he has applied in the case of Rivers State, which is inappropriate, but assuming without conceding that there was security problem in Rivers State, which justified the declaration of state of emergency, then it is much more applicable on a national basis. And Mr. President should apply the measure he has applied in Rivers State to Nigeria as a whole and remove himself from power and resign and give up and say I have no solution.
I mean,
because that is what, that is my take. This government has no solution
but
economically
I mean, I know that that
and
is. I mean, I know that's your take, but is that a realistic take? No government is going to say, "Oh, we've done poorly and leave." That's not going to happen. He's going to stay in power and then make sure that he calls out all the people that he feels are responsible and should be, in charge of situation in your area. Do what you should. I don't see that idea of him saying, "Oh,
he may
let's
not
declare
do
a
that.
national state of emergency and I leave." I don't see that happening. Do you?
No, the Constitution envisages a situation in which a state of emergency may be declared on a nationwide basis. And if that situation is provided for in the Constitution, now is the most appropriate time it should be declared. I'm only pointing out that the removal of the governor, the removal of the legislators in Rivers State, they are inappropriate, they are unconstitutional. I'm using that example to show how ridiculous those measures are as far as Rivers State is concerned. I know he will not ordinarily remove himself from power.
Okay.
But citizens are crying that government has lost control. Government, those in charge in holding the reins of power should resign. That is the cry, that is the outcry of the Nigerian people, because they campaigned on the basis of capacity to solve the problems. They are unable to solve the problem. And Mr. President identified insecurity as one of the top programs. Unfortunately, even when he made that declaration and in his inaugural speech, he did not address the root cause. He only said they will apply increasing firepower, which ignores the root cause: economic insecurity, poverty in the land. Mr. President should address, commit resources to the question of insecurity, because economic insecurity is at the root of physical insecurity. And unless they address the question of increasing poverty, unprecedented poverty in the land, we will continue to witness unprecedented physical insecurity in the land.
Let's talk about some of the moves by the president right now. Of course, back in the country, that meeting with heads of security agencies, our intelligence heads as well. We've also seen, the outcome of that meeting was basically, at least to paraphrase, go back, work with the governors, change your strategy, work with the governors. Just the major things picked up from what the president talked about in that meeting with security heads. Not long after that, they had a meeting with the Nigerian Governors Forum and security top on the agenda as well. So maybe working out ways that they can work together as security heads and as, sole administrators, governors of their, of course, the National Economic Council meeting held as well. We saw Mr. Ibas at that meeting also talking security. They had a minute of silence, really, for those who had died in crisis across the country recently. So let's talk about these moves right now. Are they progressive? Are these moves that can change things in your view? Or are we just going around in circles again?
I think it amounts to self-deception. I think they are not saying anything new. I think that what the measures they should consider are measures that will address the economic agonies of the people. The president of the National Union of Local Government Employees recently explained that minimum wage is not being paid to teachers and local government workers in about 20 states of the Federation. In this economic hardship, if 70,000 naira minimum wage is not being implemented, we can imagine the agony, the pains and pangs that people are going through. People are going serious periods. So government should address the question of ensuring that the minimum wage is paid. Government should address the fundamental problem that has destabilized most people who are not in the corridors of power in Nigeria today, which is the removal of fuel subsidy, which has increased the prices of goods and services in an unprecedented manner in the entire history of Nigeria. Government should reconsider the increase in electricity tariff. It took electricity tariff about 12 years, between 2002 to 2014, about 12 years, to rise by about 113%.
The Tinubu administration will ask you, where do you want us to get the money from?
Where
do you want us to get the money
President
from?
Bola Ahmed Tinubu's regime, under less than 2 years, electricity tariff has risen by about 300%.
The subsidies have been removed, Mr. Aborisade. The subsidies have been removed. And the president will ask you, the economic team will ask you right now, where do you want us to get the money from? We couldn't afford a subsidy regime anymore, according to the president. We were living in a fool's paradise. We need to be able to get to an actual economic reality and start to heal from there. You don't see any merit in that?
No, I do not, because when in 2012, President Jonathan increased the price of fuel, removed subsidy and increased the price of fuel, the response of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu then in 2012 was that that was a Jonathan tax, and that President Jonathan was using political power to punish the people and to benefit the dealers in the oil industry. So we can apply the same interpretation, the same position which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu used in explaining the action of President Jonathan in 2012, to say that today in 2025, the increase in electricity tariff, the increase in fuel price, unprecedented increases, by the way, are measures designed deliberately, consciously by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to punish the people of Nigeria and to benefit the class of the people he chooses to benefit. So this regime is punishing the people deliberately.
I mean, I have two questions.
President Jonathan is still available online. We can check.
We'll have to go on a break in a few minutes. But before we go on that break, I want you to be able to talk to something you mentioned earlier. You said that there is an economic problem. And many people have voiced this particular thing, saying, look, no matter what security solutions you bring up, no matter how many town hall meetings and peace accords, no matter how long it is you hug each other for, if you're hungry, at some point, it will appeal to you to commit crime and criminality because it comes with the reward of actually having something to eat. So if the economic situation is, and we've even heard the military say this, look, we're doing the kinetic bit, but the non-kinetic bit is a very big problem. But you see, the thing with non-kinetic measures in fighting insecurity is that it's a long game, isn't it? It's not something that you can fix right now. Even if we brought back fuel subsidy right now, there will still be people who are disadvantaged. Don't you think so?
They only need to reduce their corruption. Let me say this. In 2003, the late Chief Gani Fawehimi contested to be president of Nigeria. I contested to be to be governor of Oyo State. Just like several other persons on the platform of the National Conscience Party contested. And we, in principle, signed an undertaking that if elected into power, we will not go abroad for medical treatment. We will stay in Nigeria and access medical treatment from health facilities in the country. The implication of that is that our government will be compelled to revamp our healthcare system. That is what we expect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do, rather than embarking on medical tourism.
Mr. Aborisade.
Of yachts, presidential jets, these are wasteful expenditure in the light of the agony facing Nigerians. These are misplaced priorities. Mr. President has prioritized his own greed over the basic needs of ordinary people.
We do have to go on a short break, Mr. Aborisade. When we come back, we'll be taking you up on a lot of things that you've talked about. So please stay with us on Hard Copy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hard Copy right here from our channel studios in Abuja. If you've just joined us, we've been speaking with Barrister Femi Aborisade, a legal practitioner and human rights activist. Mr. Aborisade, thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
I mean, there's quite a lot that we said we were going to talk about. Just in a few seconds, let's get over this. Do you think that a state of emergency, you said we should make a national state of emergency anyway, but for the states right now that are facing insecurity, the same way a state of emergency was declared in Rivers State, do you agree that a state of emergency should be declared in these states? And should these governors be removed and sole administrators put in as well?
No, I think that the state of insecurity in the Federation as a whole, is much more serious than the state of insecurity, in individual states. Therefore, if Mr. President would consider declaring a state of emergency at all, it should declare a state of emergency as far as the entire Federation is concerned.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that the governors in these states have talked about. The Plateau State governor, the Benue State governor, they've said these things are genocidal. These attacks are genocidal. What do you think about that? Do you feel these are genocidal attacks?
Given the number of deaths, killings, bloodshed that we have been reading about, witnessing, no, the killings are genocidal.
To what end?
The killings are genocidal.
If it's genocide, to what end? Is it just land grabbing? What's the end game if it's a genocide?
No, I'm not in a position to say. Each event ought to be investigated. Those involved ought to be brought to justice and interrogated before we can know their motives. But from empirical studies that I have read, most of these killings are economic. Most of them are economic, which means poverty is at the root, and it is the issue of poverty that government should address. And Senator Ndume gave us the benefit of how wasteful government borrowings and spendings have been recently, which I document here.
Yes.
In June 2023, according to Senator Ndume, $500,000 was borrowed to scale up what was called Nigeria for Women program scale up. Nigeria for Women, it is meaningless. Another 800,000 was borrowed to cushion the effect of the impact of high petrol price after fuel subsidy removal. That was in June 2023 again. In September 2023, according to Senator Ndume, and is in a position to know, $700 million borrowed for adolescent girl initiative for learning and empowerment. Most of these borrowings are meaningless. We have no evidence of how they are expended. Another $750 million was borrowed December 23rd, 2023, through renewable energy scale-up. What is the meaning of borrowing for scale-up? Again, June 24, 2023, $1.5 billion borrowed to support Nigeria reform for economic stabilization to enable transformation. Meaningless program, meaningless borrowing. Again, another $750 million borrowed in June 2024 for financial and technical support for Air Force to stabilize economic and scale-up support to the poor. Meaningless borrowings. These resources ought to be diverted and committed to the well-being of ordinary people. Provide jobs.
I'm going to have to move on from this topic, but based on everything that you said, of course, everyone has the right of reply. If the presidency would like to take their time to explain to us some of the questions that have been raised by Mr. Aborisade here about these borrowings, there's the right of reply. So we are open to hearing whatever explanations they may have for these borrowings that, of course, have been noted by Senator Ndumi and then by Mr. Aborisade right here on the program.
I'll be happy to be educated.
That'll be something to really listen to. So let's talk politics. You alluded to politics earlier. In holding any government accountable, opposition parties have such an important role to play, calling out government and making sure that they know that they have to be on their toes because we're coming for that key. But it does seem in many spheres that the All Progressives Congress in some way has been able to, in many ways, take over a lot of the politics in our country. Recently, the Delta State governor, everyone, of course, we're going to be hearing about how everyone is defecting with the governor. It's a natural thing that happens. But what does that say about opposition? I think with this defection, the state governor, we could see that coming. But with Mr. Okowa, who was the running mate of Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 general elections, that was a shock to a lot of people. It made us to wonder how stable is what we've been calling our main opposition, the People's Democratic Party. What are your thoughts on these parties? Of course, the Labour Party is also having its issues as well. What are your thoughts on all of these situations in political parties that are supposed to be trying to wrestle power away from the All Progressives Congress?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there is no fundamental difference between the APC and the PDP. No fundamental difference at all. I think they are making it easy for Nigerians now to see them in their true colors.
Some people have said that the 2027 general elections will be basically between the APC and the Nigerian people.
I think that is the opportunity that those defecting from the PDP to the APC, they are giving Nigerians. They will now see, they will now enable Nigerians to come together and form parties based on their own interests. It's an opportunity. Let them go into one political party. So the rest of us, the rest of Nigerian people, will know that they have a challenge to build an alternative, people-oriented, and a party or parties predicated on the well-being, on the program of well-being as provided for under Chapter 2 of the Constitution.
A politician once said to me that you think you can beat them, but you can't, so you join them.
No, we should also not forget
Isn't that the reality, Mr. Aborisade? Hold on. We've seen them now. We've watched it happen over time. Oh, we are here. We are different. Let me tell, as a part, we are different. We are here for the Nigerian people. We believe in social justice. We believe in economic growth. We are here for the well-being of the Nigerian people. Give them a year or two. They start to defect to the ruling party and say, oh, there was no structure on this side. Come on. Are we joking here? Is this just a hustle? Use the Nigerian people to become prominent and then you move over to the ruling party. It seems like the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the politicians, the average politician is very, they are shameless. The conduct is so nauseating, but it's an opportunity for the Nigerian ordinary people to see them for what they are.
When we look at 2027, do you think the Nigerian people will be able to vote conscience against stomach infrastructure?
Well, I think that's a consideration for the Nigerian people. They should draw their lessons and not vote on the basis of inducement. They should vote on the basis of the program that candidates or parties are offering them. They should not just vote on the promises being made by politicians. They should also consider the track record of the politicians. If politicians regroup and present new platforms, new parties, they should look at their track records. Fundamentally, I call on the Nigerian people to reject the conventional politicians, to reorganize and have confidence in themselves, have confidence in the platforms that they are forming, have confidence in political parties that may emerge on the basis of the efforts of ordinary people. If the scope of influence of a political party is limited to just one ward, or limited to just one local government, or limited to just one state, all parties should have the right to exist, campaign, and contest for elective positions.
All right, that's a good place. That's a yes.
Rather than acting on the basis of the existing provisions under Section 222 of the Constitution, in which parties are required to have national spread before they can be registered to participate in elections.
I mean, it's an ongoing conversation as we prepare for 2027, but that is where we have to wrap it up. Mr. Femi Aborisade, thank you so much for making out the time to be with us on Hard Copy, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thanks very much for having me.
That's Hard Copy this week. I'm Kayla Megwa. Good night.